right there. Put that salt block in there. Those idiots treat it like a toy. Okay, I'm going to admit a moment of total stupidity. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. All right, yesterday, it is Tuesday afternoon. Didn't record anything yesterday because I kind of figured if it's not gonna make it like above 5, probably not gonna record anything. So that's exactly what I did. Today, it made it all the way up to 10, you know, so whatever. It's supposed to be colder next week. Like, I think Monday they're talking high of -4 Fahrenheit. So I guess we'll see. Alright, so these guys need some water. Very good. Because of the temps, we did not get our plate painted. Found some paint though, stuff we'd want to use. We had some, but it's a little brisk for that. But it is supposed to warm up later in the week. I think tomorrow is supposed to be in the 20s, and then Thursday, Friday is supposed to be in the mid 30s. But then after that, it's kind of right back down again. So one thing I am starting to do a little bit more while Dad's feeding bales out on the feeders is walking in amongst the crowd, making sure that we don't have anybody that's sneaking up on us or anything like that. You know, since we are under 4 weeks till calving, you know, you don't want any surprises. Typically in that 3 to 2 weeks prior to calving is when, especially on heifers, is when you'll really start seeing the bag really start to swell up and fill and all like that. All right, ground feed, corn silage, all that good stuff is done. So, yeah, we don't mess around when it's this temp out here. So this guy skimmed over a little bit. That water is rated for probably about like 20, 25 animals, especially in the wintertime, when their water intake goes down a little bit. But when there's only 4 of them and it's single digits, I mean, this morning I got up, it was -10. So, I mean, they're not able to keep up with the ice. That's also why I took that scoop over there. One, to get the ice out of there so I wouldn't have to dig in there with my gloves. But then you can just sit there and scoop out water, and I pretty much got it 3/4 empty, and then you can hear the thing running, make sure it's running decent, which it was. Same with the other one the other day. And then that way you can let that thing fill up on its own and kind of clean itself out if there was any ice in the line. All right, let's go warm up a little bit. So this guy does put off a decent amount of heat. It's not like it's heating a really big area, so this isn't too bad. If we wanted to really heat this place up though, like if we wanted to get in here inside the milk house, like up to like 70, we'd bring one of the ready heaters over here, and it would heat up in a hurry. So I guess one thing I want to do while I'm in here is this board needs to get erased. Need to start clean. We're in 2025 now. We're not, that's 2024. I've got a picture of that, and that's stored in my Keeps app for 2025. But what I need to do is I just got to double check a couple of things on here, because I do notice that we had started the year with 20, and this, I want to get a bigger one for this because we're starting to run into things like we've got one Bravo, one Hugo, one Bankroll. Honestly, probably if we ever find the Hugo, I would just say throw it away, because we had 5 and we used 4 and all 4 were blanks. All 4 did not stick. So, and I know Hugo was a really good bull, so I don't blame the bull. I probably blame the actual semen itself. Something probably happened in transfer or something like that. But I think, I know I used some True Justice last year, but like I've got tick marks for all the stuff that we did use. So on some of these that we didn't, I just want to double check with the big board that we didn't have any. But yeah, like I know I used a couple of kingpins. Unfortunately not going to get any kingpins, but I did use a couple. We did use a few True Justice. Did not use any Gold Strike. We'll probably use some Gold Strike this year. I might try one of those. We do have a few main lines. Mainline always intrigues me. He's a 3/4 blood out of Gen X. Always looking at bulls and which ones do you want to use a new bull. Definitely want to see how these High Lifes turn out, because I really do like High Life. He's a Select Sires bull. Hey, how's it going? All right, it is Wednesday afternoon. I'm just firing up the heater in the milk house. Feeding's already done. Already did all that stuff. But one classic thing that happens in the wintertime is stupid low pressure sensor went off on one of my truck tires. It went off yesterday, so I gotta fire up the air compressor. The only thing is that this air compressor hates the cold. So I got my heat gun, and I'm gonna try and prop this thing up and at least try and let it run for a little bit and see if I can't warm it up. All right, so we got her kind of just rigged up here, sitting on top of a bucket and just blowing at the bottom. And we'll go back in the milk house and do something else for a couple minutes. Fired right up. She don't like running though, that's for sure. But yeah, I only had this plugged in for like 10 minutes maybe. And yeah, I think 10 minutes, and it was plenty warm enough. Usually I'll have to feather it to kind of let it cycle itself and kind of start moving that oil around in there. But I didn't have to cycle it at all. It just, it started a little slow, but for the most part, it took right off. Oh, I got one more thing that I'll point out for today. She's actually right here. So this is FM 431, one of our mic drops. If you look at her right ear, notice how it's a little droopy. So she's got a glob of garbage right on the bottom of her ear. Right there. She must have been rubbing on something or whatever, but must have slit the underside of her ear or something, rubbing it on something. I don't know what. She came up to eat. She just got a little droopy ear. Other than that, she seems okay. but you know, keep an eye on it. I'm guessing that like white pussy stuff is probably dried blood or frozen blood actually, so hopefully that kind of helps her that it froze. But we'll keep an eye on her. She was not like that yesterday. All right, that's enough for today. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey, how's it going? It is Thursday afternoon. Feeding is all done again. We're gonna head down to the shop and paint that hitch plate that we welded up the other day. But I just want to show, there she is. FM 431. So yesterday, her right ear. Still not sure exactly what she did to it. Not sure if she did something to the, like, her eardrum or something, or because it doesn't look like blood as far as a fluid, but I don't know. She's eating. She seems fine. A little droopy eared, but that's about it for her. So just a quick update on her. Let's head down to the shop and do some painting. All right, so the primer job looks like it turned out okay. We just used a matte finish black, but we got a semi-gloss for finish. But we got both ready heaters going. We're gonna get it pretty toasty in here before we start painting and before we. But apparently we have light bulbs we have to replace. All right, so this turned out pretty decent. We just turned the ready heaters off and we're gonna leave the ceiling fan run. Just wanted to bring the temp up a little bit so it stays pretty warm in here. It's probably like mid 50s, but it's still a little tacky, but it turned out all right. There's a little bit of weld splatter on there and things like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's really a tractor hitch plate, and it's gonna buck stuff around, so not exactly needs to be pristine. I mean, it's not like we powder coated it or anything. All right, so I'm gonna head home and I got things to do, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday. All right, we are off and running again. All right, so we just ran down to the shop quick and fired up the 44 because a few weeks ago we had topped everything off, but we knew the 44 was pretty decent as far as coolant goes. The 2030 and the 2940 are both at like minus 15, minus 20. Well, the 2030 is in the shed, and we're gonna try and get the 29 in the shed this weekend. And Dad is scraping this hill because we want to get it down to grass if we can, for a little something we want to put up in the barn in the next couple of weeks. And if it freezes like it does, it'll be just harder to do. It's easy when it's only an inch or two and it's a little soft. Everything skims really easy. Also today, yeah, we're not gonna do corn silage for any of the calves today. We're just gonna brush it around. There's still a lot of leaves, a lot of leaf and corn. I can still see all that corn still in there. So they need to dig through that a little bit. So they're gonna get their ground feed and bale fluffing, and they'll be good for today. So yeah, like I said, we started up the 44, so we're gonna do all of our feeding, and then we're gonna go top that guy off because that one is sitting outside. So that would be another awesome thing. So if anybody wants to give us the money for, like, I don't know, maybe like a 60 by 100 coverall. I'll take a 60 by 100 coverall for equipment. And then, you know, then we can talk about like, you know, replacing the barn or just putting up one, you know, for the calves, you know, like maybe like a 60 by like 120 or something. I think a 60 by 120, like right here would be really cool, because it would go, I've actually figured it out, a 60 by 120, the 60 would end up honestly where these calves are right here, and the 120 heading south would end up on the south end of the BDA. I may or may not have had a CAD file that had all of this drawn, but I lost that when I left my other job. I didn't copy that over in time. Didn't really have a chance to, so yeah, that would be sweet. All right, so I did get some loose selenium trace salt, but I'll show you one of the reasons why I don't like the loose stuff in the wintertime, and that's as it's pouring out and they start licking, it like freezes. Now this is thawed out today, but yesterday this was hard as this block was, and I want to get this block out and give it to a different group, because I don't need this, because this stuff here is the Redmond stuff, which takes the place of this guy. So I don't need this guy. I didn't take him out because I couldn't, so I gotta chisel this guy out, and then I can get the selenium stuff in here. And yes, you'll probably say, well, just get one of those covered mineral feeders. I've thought about it, but this guy that doesn't cost me anything except for a half an hour of labor versus the couple $100 tub mineral feeder that has a little flap on it. So yeah, we just stick with this. All right, there we go. This brighter red stuff in here is the NutriBeef. So yeah, good. That guy I think is gonna go to the bulls, because I think they're out of salt. Real quick, FM 431, just a little bit droopy on that ear, but she's eating, she seems fine, but we'll definitely keep an eye on her, make sure she doesn't go in the wrong direction. But I put that salt block in there. Those idiots treat it like a toy. Okay, I'm going to admit a moment of total stupidity on my part. Okay, we need to put diesel in the Mahindra, and I hooked it up. So for us, it's just a DC pump or whatever. So we run a alligator clip. This runs right to the battery, and then we ground it on the bolt, no problem. Well, when I hooked it up, I wasn't paying attention. I put the black on the power and the red on the ground, and the pump ran, but apparently it ran it backwards, and wasn't pumping. So we thought there was issues with the pump and all this stuff, and it was just me being stupid. Well, apparently I ran out of battery with my camera, but we ran into a little bit of a snag. So yes, I had my own personal issues with the pump, but that's just me. So we went down and checked the 44, and apparently it was not at the level that we thought it was. It was only registering like 5 below. So we actually had to drain like a little over a gallon of antifreeze out of it, and then replace it with all concentrate. So then we let it run for another 15-20 minutes, came back, finished feed and ground feed, and went back to test it, and it registered at like -30. So we're pretty happy with that, because with that guy sitting outside, we definitely potentially could have had an issue with that. And we definitely do not want to have an issue with that tractor. So, all right, we'll call this the end of the day, end of the video. It is Friday, and happy Friday. Again, happy Friday. I'm gonna go find myself a fish fry. I think so. I think I'm gonna find a fish fry. I think that was the plan. But either way, hey, I hope you guys liked the video. Please hit that thumbs up button as always. If you got any questions, please leave them in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for coming along.